Hi, I'm Kristen and this is Centennial Roots Homestead. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're back, well, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing mullein in more detail. If you watched a video a few weeks ago, you saw that we harvested mullein, as that's one of my favorite springtime harvests. And we have let the leaves dry. That's the first thing that you will harvest in the spring is the leaves. So we let those dry. The flowers are now coming on, and so it's time to use the leaves and the flowers to make some medicinal tinctures and other goodies. So today we're going to show you how to do an ear drop for earaches or muscle spasms, as well as a cough syrup. We also have a great recipe that is for cough drops for the adults in your life, and so we will be discussing that in a later video, which we will link in the show notes below. So we'll get started with the easiest, the simplest, which is the earache drop medicine, and then we'll move on to the cough syrup. Another thing that I want to mention real quick is that the root of the mullein is also great medicinally, and you can find that or get that harvested in the fall. So mullein is kind of one of those plants that keeps on giving, because you can use all parts of it and you can use it throughout the year, so you can kind of space out how you make your recipes. Mullein is known as the only herb to have great narcotic qualities, and so that's why we use it so much for anything from upper respiratory to external problems as well. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to make today is a mullein ear drop oil. The only thing that you're going to need for that is mullein flowers and some olive oil. And when those flowers come out about this time of year, mid-June, then you're going to go out and you're going to harvest just the flowers. Pull those off and put them in a jar. Once you have that inside and determine how big of a recipe you want, the only thing you're going to do is simply take your olive oil and dump over those mullein flowers, completely submersing them, and then you're going to cover it loosely with a coffee filter or something where it can breathe, and you're going to set that in a sunny window sill or a sunny place for 2 weeks. Those mullein flowers are going to infuse.
I'm gonna actually have you stop. Can you actually do that?
What we're going to do is gather our flowers, and I'm going to use about half of these because I'm going to save the other half for the next recipe. But you're going to put however many flowers you want in your, I use little mason jars, whatever kind of vessel you would like to use. You're going to put that in there, and then you're just going to cover them with olive oil so that they're completely submerged. And sometimes you will have to daily go and push these down to keep them under the oil, and that's fine. But once you get your olive oil in there, then you're just going to take something breathable like a coffee filter, place that over your vessel, and place this in a sunny window sill or a sunny place, and let this infuse for 2 weeks. As you're watching it infuse, you will notice that those flowers start losing their color and become translucent. And after about 2 weeks, when they're completely translucent, all you're going to do is strain off the flowers, and your oil is ready to use. In cases of an earache, you can use 2 to 4 drops in the ear as needed. Every 4 hours is usually a good rule. And then you can also use this oil as a muscle rub, like if you've got low back pain, it's fantastic for that. Rub it on those sore muscles and it gets rid of that soreness just right away. So these are the 2 things that it's good for as far as the flower infused oil. Once you have strained your flowers off, this oil is good on your shelf for up to a year. So I'd encourage you all to give it a try. It's really so simple, and it's nice when you have that 2:30 in the morning earache with your kiddo. One thing that I do want to mention when you are making this oil, you can use fresh picked flowers or dried flowers. There will be moisture content regardless of what you use. Obviously more moisture content in the fresh flowers. That water will drop down to the bottom as it's infusing, and when you strain off your flowers, you will certainly want to make sure that you leave that water out So just strain the top, the oil off, and then leave the water. That water content will cause your oil to go rancid or to mold, and you don't want that. So make sure that you leave the water behind and keep the oil. So our next recipe is a cough syrup, and it is made with mullein and honey, as well as a little bit of elderflower. Now, certainly you can make just a simple mullein tea. Once your leaves are dried out, you can just break them apart or cut them apart and put them in a jar and keep those on your shelf. And it's simply just a heaping tablespoon of mullein leaves, and then pour your boiling water over, let it steep for 15 to 20 minutes, and you can drink that tea. That tea is great for upper respiratory, cough, bronchitis, even asthma. But sometimes you've got that persistent cough that just does not want to go away, and you're tired of drinking tea. So the cough syrup is it's an enhanced version, I guess I would say, to help with that prolonged cough. And so what you simply do with that is the leftover flowers that I had from the previous recipe equals about an ounce. So you'll want an ounce of mullein flowers. Again, those can be dried or they can be fresh. You'll also want roughly an ounce of mullein leaves that are cut up or chopped up. And I'm simply going to put these in the jar together. Now the third thing, and it's not necessary, but it certainly does add some flavor and benefit medicinally, is an ounce of elderflowers. And again, you know, God knows what he's doing. It's perfect because we have flower, leaf from the mullein, and we also have elderflowers blooming right now. So it's a perfect time to make that cough syrup. So what I have here is I actually had picked elderflower yesterday, and this is a simple syrup that I'm infusing to have an antibiotic type tincture for the winter. But I'm going to take an ounce of these elderflowers and also place them in my jar with the mullein flower and the mullein leaf. So you simply take about an ounce, and again, this is just sugar water, which goes right along with what we're making anyway. So I'm going to put roughly an ounce in there. And then what you're going to do is pour about a quart of boiling water over this. And you're just going to want to push all the contents down below the water line. And then you're simply going to let that steep on your counter for an hour. That's all that's required of this. I put a lid on because you want that good steeping quality, the hot water to really pull all the good contents out of the flower and the leaf. So you're going to let that steep for an hour, and then we'll come back and show you the next step. All right, so our cough syrup infusion is complete. So now we just need to strain off the flowers and the leaves. You can see that the liquid has gotten a little bit infused with those yellow mullein flowers. Smells very earthy, but that elderflower will give it a little bit of sweetness for the kids. So once you get that strained off, the next step is just to add as much or as little sweetener as you want. Raw honey is an excellent antimicrobial, and so while you are doing it to sweeten for the kids, you're also adding an extra layer of healing power in your syrup. So just add as much or as little as you would like. And then you just stir that in. And you've got your cough syrup. You can just, again, store this in a cool, dry place with a lid on it. It stays good. probably longer than you're going to need it because you'll be using it. But I like to make it this time of year, have it on the shelf, and it's ready to go for those winter colds and flus. So remember, if you need anything respiratory related for the kiddos, you've got the infused oil for earaches. You can also use it for your own backache or muscle ache. And then you've got the cough syrup, which will help with cough, congestion, upper respiratory. So thank you all for stopping by and watching today. If you have any questions, comment down below. Be sure and watch more of our videos. We will have that one coming out where we make the homemade cough drops as well. So thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
Oh, hey, little guy.